Hi, hope you're doing well. So, this is Biology SL Paper 2 and Time Zone 1. So, let's start the question. So, answer all the questions. Okay, so section 1. We have this question in which, there were widespread and intense wildfire in southwest Australia during the summer season from November to January. Okay, estimates have been made of carbon dioxide emission from these fire based on satellite monitoring data. So, okay, so the bar chart shows estimate made by five different research programs. These are different research programs. Right. So estimated mass of carbon dioxide emission. Right. Teragrams. So the table shows other statistics for comparison. Mean emission of carbon dioxide from wildfires and fossil fuels. Okay. Right. So the highest estimate of carbon dioxide emitted from wildfire in southwest Australia between November and January, it's 820 teragram. From the FEER research program state the lowest estimate. Yeah, so this is the FEER. Hmm. Okay, state the lowest estimate. Lowest is this. It's almost like 6. That's the 700. So 600, 650 to, yeah. So it should be, you can say that like maybe 650, in between 650 and 680. So yeah, the in between value. So you can say that that is like 660 maybe. That is the answer. So using the data in the table, comment on magnitude of wildfires in southwest Australia from November 2019 to January 2020. Yeah, it's very high. So, like from 2019 to 2020, it's very larger than annual carbon dioxide emission. It's larger. I mean, look at this and just compare with this. So, it is larger. So, we can say that the first point may be like it is larger than annual carbon dioxide emission. It is larger. And fossil fuels, this is the annual value you can compare with. And look at this, the fossil fuel value, and it's even larger than fossil fuel as well. So it is also like larger than all fossil fuel emission. And also and very very larger than like the previous year's November to January. You can say like much larger than typical emission, much larger than 9 teragram for November to January in previous years. That's the answer. That's how you'll get 3 on 3. Okay. In addition to carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and other gases, the wildfire emitted smoke. Smoke is an aerosol of solid particles and liquid droplets suspended in air. The complex mixture of chemicals in aerosol includes black carbon soot and compounds of nitrogen, phosphorus, and iron. The aerosol absorbs light, allowing it optical density and movement by assessed by satellite monitoring. Much of smoke from the wildfire in southeast Australia in 2019 to 2020 was carried eastward across the South Pacific Ocean. So the study area shown in the map was affected by smoke. Okay. So the graph shows, we can say that the graph shows the optical density of the air and chlorophyll concentration of the water in this study area. So the concentration of chlorophyll is proportional to the density of phytoplankton, that is the photosynthetic bacteria and algae. Okay. All right. Identify two differences between aerosol optical density in the month before the wildfire and during the period of wildfire. Before the wildfire and during the wildfire. So AOD is higher from November to January. It is higher in these months when there is like more wildfires. So we can say that in this period of time there is higher AOD during period of wildfire. Yes. And very very huge fluctuations. Fluctuations are also like before, but huge fluctuations. So we can say that like more fluctuations in AOD during period of wildfire. That is the answer. Okay, use the data in the graph distinguish between phytoplankton population in 2019-20 and previous years. So phytoplankton, they are photosynthetic bacteria. It should increase the concentration of chlorophyll. No, chlorophyll concentration is this. Okay. Previous years and after that. So you can clearly see there is increase in phytoplankton from during the wildfires period. So yes, so we can say that like increase in phytoplankton from November to January 2019 to 2020 as compared to previous years. That's the first point you have to say. And again, like large fluctuation, you can say, look at this, very large fluctuations. Very large fluctuation during wildfire. And also higher in 2019 to 2020 as compared to previous years. So that's how you will have to answer this. Okay. Sample of air carrying aerosol from wildfire were filtered at Mount Wellington on Tasmania, and the amount of the iron and levoglucosan on the filter were measured. Levoglucosan is produced by combustion of carbohydrates such as starch and cellulose, so used as a chemical tracer for biomass burning. So bars on the graph shows amount of levoglucosan and data points show amount of iron. Okay. Explain the conclusion that can be drawn from the data in the graph. Okay. So again, glucosan or an iron concentration increases from 27 November 27 to January 17. That's the increased period of time. So we can say levoglucosan and iron concentration increases from November 27 to January 17. November 27, 2019 to January 2017, 2020. And they both release during combustion, so the combustion rate is higher in this period of time. Since both released during combustion. And wildfire release large amount of iron as it is the component of smoke. That's how you will answer this question. Okay, in the South Pacific Ocean, chlorophyll production and the growth of phytoplankton are usually limited by low concentration of iron in the water. Suggest a hypothesis for cause of unusual pattern of phytoplankton during summer of 2019 to 2020. Okay. So that's a chance, like iron maybe from the wildfire was deposited in ocean. That's might be the reason during summer. So we can say that like iron from wildfire was deposited in ocean, which increased the phytoplankton growth. That is the reason. So that's how you'll get 2 marks. Okay, now the next question. The hormones are used for cell to cell communication in the human body. Describe the role in menstrual cycle of one named hormone from the ovary and one from the. Okay. So pituitary gland, it releases FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, and its function is FSH stimulates the development of follicles. It stimulates development of follicles. That's the function. Okay. And ovaries, it's released two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen function is it stimulates the growth of uterus lining. Growth of uterus lining. So hormones enter the and leaves the bloodstream through capillaries. Outline two adaptation of capillaries for efficient exchange of substances with surrounding tissues. So you know capillary is very thin, one cell thick. So it is only, we can say that, one cell thick, which shorten the distance. And gaps or the porous walls, it has gaps by which like the molecules can move, and it has small diameter. These are the adaptations of the capillaries by which things can move. Okay. The redwood trees was blown over in 1936, but five side branches formed new roots and are now separate tree. Okay. Three of the new trees formed from side branches of the original tree. Okay. State the molecule that tree such as redwoods use as a genetic material. So you know the molecule genetic material is always like DNA. If the genome of the five new trees were sequenced, predict with the reason how similar they would be to each other. They are identical, right? Always identical, because that's the asexual reproduction. Since it is asexual, it is formed by asexual reproduction. Yes, that's why, because this is cloning, and cloning is the example of asexual reproduction. It is cloning. Outline one method that has been used successfully to clone an adult animal. So you have to remove the nucleus from the egg, and then unfertilized egg taken from the sheep, and nucleus is being removed, and then we have to like infuse them. So we have to remove nucleus. So nucleus, we can say that it is removed from egg cell, then unfertilized egg taken from sheep, and also its nucleus removed. Then, like, you know, the somatic cells also remove from donor, and then we have to fused the donor cells with nucleus. Body cells also we have to remove it. From donor, and then we can say that X cells nucleus replaced by somatic cell nucleus. That is the answer of this question. Okay, we have electron micrograph shows part of two cells. Look at the cells carefully. So of course, this is nucleus. That's nucleus. And it is Golgi apparatus. Look at the vesicles. Look at the like this structure. So that is Golgi apparatus. And if you clearly see, that is like, oh, okay, so this is mitochondria. So you can clearly see these are the things, right? So it should be, the first one is nucleus, second is Golgi apparatus, and the last one is mitochondria. Using evidence from the micrograph, deduce whether the cells are prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Of course, it has membrane bonded organelles, so it is eukaryote. It is eukaryote. Why? How do we know? Like nucleus present with nuclear envelope and membrane bonded organelle is present. Membrane bounded organelle is present. That's why we can say that it is eukaryote. State the function of flagella and ribosomes in prokaryotes. So flagella always help to movement, help in locomotion, and ribosome function is for protein synthesis. So help in locomotion, that's the function of flagella, and ribosome function is in protein synthesis. Because prokaryotic cell has also its own cell membrane, it's like enzymes, so we have to say like there must be ribosomes for protein synthesis. Okay, so there are 5 classes of vertebrates, one of which is bird. Outline 2 recognition features of bird. Like very easy, 2 recognition features. They always have beak, they have like feathers, they have wings, they have like hollow bones. So these are recognition features. So karyogram shows the chromosome of a female saffron finch bird. Compare and contrast the chromosome of the saffron finch and human. Similarity is it also has the pair of chromosomes, pair of homologous chromosomes. And its chromosome number is more than, we have 23 pairs, it has like more pairs. So the first thing is the similarity, pairs of homologous chromosome, that is similarity, whereas like the difference is saffron finch has more chromosome. That's the answer. Now we have to do the section B. Answer one question up to the additional mark is available for the construction of your answer. Answer must be written within the answer box is provided. Fats are used by mammals and oils and by plants for energy storage. Both of these types of lipids are, triglycerides. So outline how plant make oil using carbon from the atmosphere. Okay. All right, so 6A. So basically we can say that, photosynthesis use carbon dioxide. So photosynthesis always uses carbon dioxide from atmosphere, right? Now this carbon dioxide turns into glucose. This carbon dioxide turns into glucose. Now the fatty acids are derived from glucose, so all the fatty acids, they basically derive from glucose. And these like 3 fatty acids combine with 1 glycerol molecule to make a lipid, which is triglyceride, by a condensation reaction. That's how it occurs. That's the answer of the 6A. Explain the reason for oils being insoluble and sugar such as glucose being soluble in water. So now we have to answer the question number B. You know, Glucose is hydrophilic. Glucose is hydrophilic. And oils are hydrophobic. They are hydrophobic. So sugar molecules are polar. Sugar molecules are, like we can say that they are polar, whereas oil is non-polar. Non-polar. So oil does not form hydrogen bond. Oil does not form hydrogen bonds with water. Whereas glucose can make hydrogen bonds. That's why they are water soluble. That's the answer. Explain how a fat-rich diet might contribute to the development of poor health. So, you know what, like the fat-rich diet, it contains saturated fats. Fat-rich diet, it contains saturated fat. Saturated fat, so they deposited in arteries. They deposited in arteries, right? And it form, and they form thrombus. When they deposit in arteries, they form thrombus, and this thrombus is like due to rough surface of atheroma. Atheroma. And then like atheroma cause occlusion of arteries. This atheroma cause occlusion of arteries and restricted the supply of oxygen. Restricted the supply of oxygen. When the oxygen supply is restricted, we can say that, so when the oxygen supply is going to restrict, not enough aerobic respiration occurs, so less ATP formed. So that's why it, if the ATP is less, so it may cause the you know, if there is the wound, inside the artery, so it causes the hardening of arteries. So hardening of arteries occur, and hardening of arteries, it causes high blood pressure. It causes high blood pressure and can lead to obesity. That's how you have to answer this. And also it increase the diabetes too. It also increase the risk of diabetes type 2. So these are the points for this question. Next is question number 7, since that's a choice, but we have to do this as well. So living organism cause change and also respond to change. Describe how increased concentration of atmosphere of carbon dioxide may change coral reef ecosystem. Okay. So basically, you know what? If the increased carbon dioxide concentration, it form carbonic acid, because carbon dioxide when reacts with water, it form H2CO3, and H2CO3 generate hydrogen ions. That's the sequence you have to memorize. So increased concentration of carbon dioxide produce hydrogen ions by this equation. So pH of water become more acidic. So that's why, like the other organisms population might be reduced because they can't survive in acidic environment. So concentration of carbonate ions reduced because they reacts with hydrogen ions to form carbon dioxide. So coral destroy. That's how we can say that coral destroyed. And why destroyed? Due to change in habitat. Leading to loss of biodiversity. That's the answer of the first question, 7A. Explain how our population changed by natural selection. Okay, good question. So variation exists within the population. Whenever there is variation occur, so variation exists within a population, and whenever there is a variation occurs, what happens? Like the sexual reproduction leads to variation. How this variation comes? By the sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction always produced variations, always produce variations. So more individuals are born than environment can support, and there's a competition for the resource. So whenever there is more individuals, if the more individual is equal to more competition. So when like the environmental condition change, it's also increase the competition. So when change in environmental condition occurs, it's leading to competition. Competition increases. Now those who adapted have higher chance of survival. So always like better adapted individual, they have higher chance of survival. And these characters passing to offspring as well. So that's how adaptation occurs. The last question explains change in lungs function of a person with emphysema. You know, emphysema result in fewer alveoli which are larger. Fewer which are larger, and then like less surface area for gas exchange, and then if there is a less surface area, then we can say that entry of oxygen in blood is also reduced. So entry of oxygen in blood also reduced. And then the alveolar walls lose elasticity. Then like we can say that ventilation is more difficult now. Lungs are not fully ventilated now. That's how you answer this question. So I hope you understand these questions.
Thank you for staying with me to the end. Don't hesitate to leave your question or request in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.